everyone. It's another day here at the Home Care Business Advisors live Facebook broadcast. And this evening, I am so honored. I am so grateful that we have Eric Goldberg from Goldberg Law here with us today to talk about veteran benefits. Eric, welcome, my love.
Thank you so much, Yvette. Thanks for having me.
You are more than welcome. You look so calm, cool, and casual for being that elder law attorney, all the stresses that come with it, all the families that you have to help and assist. You just take it in your stride.
Oh, no, we love what we do here. Have a great team, all like-minded individuals, and we just love to help our seniors.
Right. And just based on that, I want to just do a quick shout out to Clelia. I want to put a shout out to Amy. I want to put a shout out to Tanya and all the rest of the team at the Goldberg Law, and just let them know that, yes, you've been doing a phenomenal job over the years in doing what you do in helping and assisting those clients that we have. It's been my absolute pleasure in working with you. And today, we're going to pass on some of that knowledge to our members today. And again, talking about veterans benefits. But first of all, Eric, what is, in your definition, an elder law attorney or an elder care attorney? Are there a difference? But what is it that you actually do?
Okay. No, so they're interchangeable terms. But classically, an elder law or an elder care attorney is charged with protecting assets. So trying to avoid the financial devastation that comes with a long-term care need, whether that's at home, in assisted living, or in a nursing home. Because I have a team of like-minded individuals, we've been working together for as long as 12 years. We're really a full-service elder law firm. So we do everything from VA benefits to guardianships, what we call long-term care planning. We do estate planning for families. We do Medicaid applications, and we do a lot of hand-holding. And I know you were half joking saying that I'm calm, cool, and collected, even though I'm under so much pressure. We don't feel like that there's a lot of pressure here because we truly feel like we're helping people. It's a very unique, way of practicing law.
Right, absolutely. And again, just being able to attest that. And yes, I was, saying that tongue in cheek, if you will, in terms of being calm, cool, and collected. But I know that anytime I make that referral over to the Goldberg Law Group, everyone is getting taken care of. Everyone gets a resolution to their problem. So thumbs up to the Goldberg Law Group. So let me ask and open up with this question. Can you actually explain the criteria for an individual to obtain veteran benefits?
Okay. So the veterans benefits that we're talking about today are aid and attendance. Okay. So that's a typical veterans benefit that many of my clients are eligible for or may become eligible for. It is what's otherwise known as a non-service connected benefit, meaning that you don't have to become disabled due to your service. It's just that you have to have served and then become disabled later. So there are four main criteria for becoming eligible for this benefit. First is we have to prove that you are a veteran or the spouse of a veteran. So the definition for this program of a veteran is an individual that served 90 days at least, and at least one of those days during wartime. Okay, so they do not have to serve overseas. They could have gone to boot camp. They could have just served in the typing pool, anywhere. They did not have to actually be in battle. Second criteria is that their assets must be less than $130,000. And similar, and they're taking that figure from Medicaid. Actually, it's a very similar figure. Whereas Medicaid is a 5-year look back, the VA for aid and attendance purposes has a 3-year look back. The third criteria is that your income for VA purposes, so they call it the IVAP, income for VA purposes, in order to get the full benefit must be 0 or less. And most people say, oh, well, then I'm never going to be eligible because I have Social Security, for instance. So my income is above 0. But what the VA does is they apply a formula, and they take your gross income, which is your Social Security and maybe your pension, and they subtract from that your unreimbursed medical expenses. So as a quick example, if your gross income is $2,000 a month from Social Security and you're at home with home care and it's costing $3,000 a month, It's a negative 1,000 income. But they just make it zero, and then you're eligible for the full benefit. And finally, the fourth criteria is that you have to need assistance with at least 2 activities of daily living. Walking, bathing, dressing, toileting, transferring, and feeding yourself.
So some of those variables are interchangeable, like you said, either with Medicaid or even, an assisted living admission, right? They have to be able to, meet or long-term care insurance, have to meet some of those criteria. And that was actually one of my questions, Eric. It was, isn't a veteran automatically approved for veterans based on their diagnosis?
No. So they're not automatically approved. If you're talking about a service-connected pension, a lot of times there are presumptive disabilities based on Agent Orange and things like that. But when you're talking about aid and attendance, we have to prove that you're disabled, meaning in their eyes that you need assistance with at least 2 activities of daily living. And then there is the asset and income test on top of that.
Right.
So it is a little bit, it's a very different program, but what's beautiful about it is that what you're receiving from the VA is a direct deposit check into your account. So once you've proven that you need this assistance and that your unreimbursed medical expenses meet their criteria, they're going to start sending you checks, and you can use those checks for anything at that point. But because your unreimbursed medical expenses exceed your gross income, you're ostensibly going to use it for your healthcare.
For your healthcare. So what is a typical time frame? Let's say that I came into your office and I sat with yourself and Clelia and said, I have a client, this is the situation. If in deeming that they would be potentially approved for veterans benefits, what is typically the time frame from start to finish, from the time that you do what you need to do as our elder law attorney to the time that we can get, or the family can get an approval to say, we've done all of the formulas, we've done all the variables, and yes, you are eligible?
All right. I'm so glad you asked that, because one of the things that I try to do, and this actually is a very stressful part of my practice, I'm always trying to manage expectations, because the VA benefit, ever since they changed the rules for the look back period, so there used to be no look back. All we needed to do was merely provide 1 month of a bank statement to show that somebody is eligible asset wise. So that was very easy for us, and it was very easy for the VA. But a couple of years ago, they went to this 3-year look back, and everything changed at the VA. So we've gotten approvals in as short as a month, once. Oh. And there have been times, I will tell you, that it's taken 2 years.
Wow.
Now it is retroactive, but the problem that we see with the VA is, and everybody complains about Medicaid in itself, but when you're dealing with a Medicaid application, you're dealing with one caseworker. When you're dealing with a VA aid and attendance application, if you live in New Jersey, you're sending that application to Philadelphia. And they're not assigning an individual. So we have a follow-up process where weekly we're calling the VA and asking about the status of our applications. Sometimes we'll call the VA and the individual we get on the line will say that application doesn't exist.
Wow.
And then we'll call back 15 minutes later and get someone else, and they'll say, oh no, here it is. This is the status.
So that becomes cumbersome for you and for the team, of course, and it's utilizing resources in areas that you don't need to be using those kinds of resources. So exactly. With you as an elder care attorney in your group, being so frustrating, is this the same for an individual or a family member, a spouse of who's trying to apply? Are they going through the same kind of hoops to get benefits?
Well, they're certainly not following up as much as we are, so they're not experiencing the same frustration we are. But the reason that we're doing that is because we know how important it is to a lot of these clients. And I think that the families are just feeling the frustration. So those that do it on their own, and we invite people to do it on their own as well, because the application process itself isn't that difficult. It's the follow-up process.
It's a follow-up.
So time-consuming. And these are people who truly need it. Sometimes people move money and they don't need it and they just want to get extra money, which they're entitled to under the law. But some people are literally running out of money and they're counting on it in order to pay for their care. And
Right,
that's
right.
the sad fact of the VA system
Right.
now.
And I too have experienced that, even a client that we have in our South Carolina office currently, driving around in a Cadillac, and,
Right.
he's going out to eat, and he's this, and then I have, some clients who are bedridden, and they're just getting the minimal hours under the aid and attendance program, and somebody else is getting 30 hours a week who's driving around in a Cadillac, and it totally burns me to the core, and I
Right.
have to keep my composure at times, but systems are systems, and these are some of the
Exactly.
things that we have to face. So we have a question that's come up, just random here. So what if you have some rental income from an old property? Is it calculated as part of your gross income?
Yeah, if you're reporting it on your income tax return, it is going to be added to your gross income, certainly.
Perfect.
Yeah, which actually makes it complicated, because it might be netted out with a loss for all you know. So property, it depends on what your income tax return says.
Right. Makes sense. Makes absolute sense. So with all the nuances, all the different variables, the time constraints and so forth, how important would you say seeking the guidance of an elder law, elder care attorney, would you say it is for a family trying to get to that point of having some kind of assistance from the VA?
Yeah, I think that I can't stress enough how important it is to have an elder law attorney on your side in this case, especially since they changed the look back, because what we want to do is we're here to help protect assets as one of our roles as elder law attorneys. So what we want to do is potentially move money and plan for 3 years in the future. So whereas in the past we were applying, or we were being asked to apply for VA benefits when somebody was already ill, now people are coming to us and saying, well, I have a diagnosis and I want to prepare for the future, or I'm just becoming older and I'm concerned about long-term care expenses. So when you're talking to an attorney, they're trained in how to plan for the future. This isn't obviously our first rodeo, so we know exactly the right avenues to take in order to make sure that we get an approval later on.
Perfect. So again, with all of the nuances, how and what would you say to our home care owners and our home care members here today? How can a provider, being the front line, that next person to the family or the individual, how would you suggest and recommend that they can actually assist this individual in going through the process?
So I think that anytime somebody comes in as a prospective client or customer to a home care agency, that the home care agency, the individual doing the intake, or however it's done, is asking the very important question: are you a veteran, or are you the spouse of a veteran? And if they are, then they should be sending them to a local elder law attorney. And the reason is, I'll tell you, there are a number of reasons. Number one, it's the right thing to do. I think ethically that you should allow people to educate themselves about any program that may avail themselves of extra money so that they can age in place. But secondly, just from a business standpoint, this is one of those things that may help push the individual to remain at home, where Medicaid's not the most robust program when they do run out of money, and keep them there for a longer period of time, able to pay for their care.
Makes sense. Makes absolute sense. So with all the different layers of the Veterans Administration, how and what would you say, again, to one of our members today in terms of how do they become involved and become a provider for the Veterans Administration?
Well, there are a number of things that you can do. Number one is teaming up with an elder law attorney. But number two is, if you become educated in the VA yourself, they can do their own applications. As I said earlier, it is very time consuming and it's frustrating But that's a nice value add, actually, if you could have an individual who's charged with that responsibility. But otherwise, hand it off to an elder law attorney or work hand in hand with an elder law attorney to make sure that the planning is done correctly.
Your answers have been spot on, and for everything that has been delivered today, Mr. Goldberg, it all makes absolute and clear sense. And I thank you for your time. Just in closing, and again, for our members here today, what would be your closing remarks for our agencies that are here with these the VA veterans that are needing care and assistance, and how to actually bridge that relationship and forming those partnerships with groups such as yourself? What would be your closing remarks to them in terms of what is it that you want to see from a home care agency when they walk into your office? If you want to do business, what do they have to come with?
Right. Well, look, I think that the home care agencies that are forward thinking and that are looking out for the best interests of their customers and clients and their family members, why not just have an elder care attorney or an elder law attorney, however you want to say it, on your roster, on your bench, so that you can, we're always available. We make ourselves available. And as I said before, I have this great team, and we've been working together so long that they know a lot of the things that we talk about here. And if we're available to talk to agencies, to employees, to providers, whenever they have a question. So why not just find an elder law attorney in your area that you trust and pick their brain? I mean, if they're not willing to talk to you, then they're probably not all in. They're just, unfortunately, typical attorneys who are running a billable hour practice, and they don't want to spend the time to help people out.
You are the billboard, Mr. Goldberg, of what we call a power partner. And again, in our connection, in our run-ins, in our professional, dialogue and interaction, most definitely been that is, you got to have somebody on your bench. You got to have someone behind you. You got to have somebody who you can trust, that you can just turn around to and just pick up the phone and ask that question, send that text message. Again, I know that I've done that many a time with Clelia. I've got a client, I want to make the referral, and I'm getting those responses. So again, I so thank you very much for your very candid and authentic responses with regards to veteran benefits for our guests here today.
Thank you, Yvette. Thank you for the opportunity, and a shout out to the elder care industry in general, right? Because we're all here to help each other, right? And that's the beauty of the industry.
Absolutely. And we're still in it. So there's got to be something good about it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Eric, it's been a pleasure, my love. Thank you so much, very much for your time. Say hi to all the ladies back there. Tell them to continue doing that awesome job. And we'll be connecting with you guys soon.
You got it.
Thank you. See you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.